everyone. Welcome to our first Ask Me Anything Live. I am Christine Acker, a senior manager of product marketing here at Autodesk. And a little bit about me before we get started, so you know who you're talking to. I'm a civil engineer by training. I worked for Clark Construction out of Washington, D.C. before transitioning to construction technology after business school. At Autodesk, I lead our product marketers that oversee all of the products within Autodesk Construction Cloud. And today I'm joined here with Justin Lipsey, one of our technical solutions executives.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here today. I'm Justin Lipsey. I am a technical solutions executive with Autodesk. And prior to Autodesk, I spent just about 15 years in the AEC industry, mostly as a mechanical designer or an engineer. But my most recent experience before joining Autodesk was a VDC lead where I implemented reality capture, BIM 360, and also Autodesk Build at a global firm. In my current role at Autodesk, I essentially try to understand our customers' business problems and processes, and then understand where our products fit in, how can they improve those processes, and maybe even alleviate some of those pains. And then I walk them through how to do so from a technical perspective. So excited to be here today.
Awesome. All right, so today we'll be diving into some of the questions that we gathered throughout the month from our community in the big room, social media, and then questions that are coming in live through the comments as well. And so the first one that we're going to kick it off and start it with is one that Justin gets all of the time. It's, what is Autodesk Construction Cloud?
Yeah, that's one that I feel like can still be confusing to this day. So really wanted to kick this off with an answer to this question. So at a high level, the Autodesk Construction Cloud is a suite of products that connects project teams throughout the entire project lifecycle. But what does that really mean? So over the past few years, Autodesk has been acquiring a lot of companies that are best in class in what they do and their technology. So when it comes to the design, authoring tools, everyone knows our legacy products, but Autodesk has also acquired companies like Bidboard Pro, Pipe, most recently ProS, to stretch out those suite of tools so we can exercise or execute different tasks throughout the entire project with the goal of unifying all of that technology to be able to use it in one single platform. So really, I like to say, or my illustration of the Construction Cloud is like an umbrella. And then the Autodesk Construction Cloud is the umbrella. And underneath that umbrella are a bunch of different products that help you execute tasks throughout your project, including BIM 360 and PlanGrid, and then the combination of them both, Autodesk Build. So that also kind of leads into the next question I get for most BIM 360 and PlanGrid users. Why should I migrate to Autodesk Build now that I understand what the Construction Cloud is? What's the difference? So basically, I'm a former BIM 360 user, as I kind of mentioned before. So BIM 360 gave you document management, project management, and a host of some other things. Cost management came along later. But we all kind of know the mobile experience was lacking there. And then Autodesk acquired PlanGrid, and they had the mobile piece. That field experience is really good in PlanGrid, but some of those other aspects, the project management, the document management, a little lackluster in the PlanGrid platform. So Autodesk Build is the combination of both of the best of those technological products or platforms to create an enhanced version of both of those. So you get your document management, your project management, and your field experience all in one. So you can keep your project data in one single platform, one common data environment, no matter what workflow you are executing on your project. But then most importantly, we also give you brand new tools that you can use, and it's all based on industry standards and customer feedback. And like I said, I was a customer using these products. So I can see our feedback from my previous company in this tool, and it's really great. So there are a lot of reasons you would migrate. I won't waste your time with all the technical nerdy details, but if you have questions in the chat, please let me know. I'll get into it.
Cool. Thanks for that insight, Justin. And so one of the questions we got from our customer community, the big room, Frederick Charles from BTB Concept asked for some great use case studies with some tips and tricks. And so one of the things that I briefly wanted to share with you on is a case study that we recently did with Pond and Company. And so they're an EPC out of Atlanta, Georgia. And they're a longtime technology user, but they needed a solution that let their team work more efficiently on all workflows, everything from simple things like document management to more robust things like project controls. They didn't want to use numerous point solutions. And so they turned to Autodesk Build because it could be their one-stop shop for everything. And so one of the interesting things is that they have over 500 employees, and they knew that they just couldn't hand teams an iPad and say, okay, go use Autodesk Build and hope for the best. And so they actually created company-wide standards, and then they use the robust template capabilities within Build to help set up those processes. And then most importantly, they established the processes and communicated them out, because having plans, processes without sharing them and getting adoption from the team is pretty much useless. And so with that robust plan, they actually were able to successfully deploy Autodesk Build. And currently they're using it on all of their projects and have seen great success. And so a few of the places that they've seen success is they're able to get more insights from their project data because they have a standard way of collecting it from project to project. They know that teams know that Autodesk Build is the common data environment that holds all project information, so they can quickly find what they're looking for. And with all project information in one place, they've seen that their submittals and RFIs are being answered 30% faster than prior to adopting Autodesk Build. So they've had some great successes through the adoption of Build. Justin, do you have any tips and tricks that you like to share with kind of the customers that you talk to?
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully these aren't too random, but I'll kind of categorize it. So let's start with subcontractors. So something that we try to tell subcontractors, because one of the main takeaways, or I guess main benefits that our subs see with the Build platform is cost management now comes with it. So previously it was an add-on with BIM 360 and non-existent in PlanGrid. So for our Build users, cost management comes along for the ride. But cost management, that product is extremely robust and not in a bad way. We allow you to customize it however you need to fit your workflows. So essentially, you could transfer mid-project from whatever you're using. Typically, we see a lot of Excel users to our cost management product to manage your project financials. But something that we like to say is keep it simple. So start with something very simple, like just tracking your change orders. And the reason for that is it's so robust, and because you can customize it, you can connect it to your ERP system. It can be a little daunting, a little bit scary, but starting with something that is not necessarily low-hanging fruit, but more so the most impactful, but also something very simple to track, like your change orders, you'll see, or our customers see benefits right away, especially because within Build, you can track from the field. So like issues, escalate them to an RFI, and then create a change order directly from that RFI. So that's really powerful. So start simple and you'll start to see gains right away. For architect and engineering firms, a good tip and trick would be, first and foremost, update your CAD standards. And I know that seems like it's left field, but our industry is moving towards the cloud. And in Build, in BIM 360, you have the ability to visualize model data and also CAD data as well. But the cloud comes with the need for data management or clean data, so to speak. So when I was in the industry, we got a lot of vendor files that were jam-packed with just information. Not only were they large, but they would have, and this is going to get kind of, sorry for my design talk, Christine, but it's going to get kind of designy. So they would have blocks within blocks within blocks. And then you can see that this data came from 1986 or something like that, when I was born, that this particular block or detail came from back then, now with this new drawing. So a lot of that just speaks to garbage in, garbage out. So as we move to the cloud, it's hard to visualize and collaborate on a file, especially a 2D CAD file, that is hard for you to even open up in AutoCAD and maneuver around in it. So we just need to start thinking about that as architects, as engineers, and having those hard conversations or necessary conversations more so with our subs, our consultants, that we're getting this data from and now putting it into the cloud to more effectively collaborate with one another. And then another quick tip for A&Es is invest in a BXP or a BIM execution plan. And sometimes that can be scary. There's a lot of detail in a BIM execution plan, but once again, our industry is driving towards technological transformation. And this one's a big one. There's a lot of talk about one model methodology, and eventually we'll be all in one model, and the entire project team will be working off of one data set and one model. And everybody's excited about that, but we need to be driving that change. And BIM execution plans just set the table for the entire project team, not only the design team, but also for your owners and for your clients, of what they should expect to see, what that end deliverable is going to look like. So there are no surprises at the end of the line. And then very quickly, quick tip for owners, embrace BIM. So embrace that 3D data. A lot of our contractual deliverables, when I was in the industry, were 2D PDFs, 2D deliverables. And the owners, the clients, they rarely wanted even a Navis model. We might review it with them, but at the end, they didn't really care about that. But missing out on such data-rich models that will help them when it comes to operating their facilities and maintenance down the line. And then also, if you are an Autodesk Construction Cloud user, just having that data within that ecosystem is so powerful. So embrace that. It opens up a world of new possibilities. And a quick tip too for owners is hosting the review process, the design review process, the field review process on your account. So instead of, if you have a GC that's using Build and you also have a Build account, allowing them to host that, that's all your data. That's what you're paying for. So if you want eyes on it, host it on your account. And then lastly, for just everyone in our industry, just period. I'm sorry, I talk a lot, Christine. I told you I talk a lot. But invest in a quality dev team. So I was fortunate to work with some very great developers, and harvesting the data that comes with Build to visualize data in ways that we only imagined would be possible. My dev team, or my former dev team, were able to create some really amazing things. So through the use of Forge and Power BI, Power Apps, combining all those tools to make your project teams more efficient, more productive through the use of the data that you're putting into Build in the Construction Cloud platform, that is just all types of gains. Basically, that's the ROI that you're looking for. So,
yeah. Thanks. Those are super helpful and great tips, knowing that you've lived it as well. So I'm gonna take some of the questions that just came in on the comments. So Jason has asked a few questions, and the first one is, when will functionality of BIM 360 mass import of new members be added to ACC? Unfortunately, we can't give you too much information and forward-looking based on the fact that we are a publicly traded company and we have some limitations there. No, but be assured that our product teams are well aware of this request and are certainly have it on top of mind and are working on a solution for you. So unfortunately can't give you too much information other than that. And then his other question is Autodesk working on a migration tool to move projects from BIM 360 to Autodesk Construction Cloud? And so there's numerous ways that we like to support our customers that are transitioning from BIM 360 to Autodesk Construction Cloud. Many of the accounts have dedicated customer success managers that work on a migration plan. And our R&D team is certainly working on kind of what that migration would look like in terms of data and project information. And Justin, do you have any insights from your own experience, knowing that you've done this before and kind of from your own experience of what that looks like?
Actually, yes. So that is probably at the top of the list when it comes to feedback, especially for our customers migrating from BIM 360 and PlanGrid to Autodesk Build. So even though that doesn't exist yet, we do have within Build what's called Bridge, which is something that only Autodesk has right now, where you're able to share files between projects and also across accounts. So I do know that our product team is taking in customer feedback and looking at ways in which we could potentially facilitate that. But for right now, we do not have a solution for that, but we know that is on the top of mind for many of our customers. So that is something that I can speak to for sure.
Great. Wonderful. I'm sorry, there's a few questions coming in. Justin, one of the other questions that came in that I'd love to get your thoughts on is, can you tell the people who've tuned in a little bit about the differences between Revit and BIM 360 or Autodesk Construction Cloud?
Okay, yes, that is a broad question. I will try. So I guess, Revit is an authoring tool. I guess I'll be simple, then I'll go big. Revit is an authoring tool, while BIM 360 can host or store Revit files, but you can only view those files in BIM 360's BIM viewer. However, you can store them in BIM 360, just like you can within Autodesk Build as well, and then open them in the cloud, author those tools within Revit. So typically for users of Revit, if you're storing them on, or those files, those RVT files on a server or even the Revit server, that would be local to your company. That would be a local server. Whereas in BIM 360 and Autodesk Build, you would be utilizing Revit cloud work sharing models that are stored in the cloud and allow you to author them through Revit, but then also view published or saved states of those files in the cloud, and then you can collaborate on them. And what that means is like host design reviews in the cloud. So you don't have to download those files, take them to a client site, create an NWD or anything. You could literally just use your RVT file to view your Revit file, whatever that model may be. And then also you have access to your 2D sheets as well. So if you just like printing out your most current progress set to quickly look at an update, you no longer really have to do that. You have access to that through your RVT file. Hopefully
Great.
That answers your question.
Thanks, Justin. And then the other thing that the powerful thing about with Autodesk BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro is it's able to take those files and automatically aggregate them and looks for conflicts between models that we commonly call clashes as well. And so you're able to make sure that the designs and models that you have are able to be constructed in the field, and setting up project teams for success that way.
Okay.
Great. And so I'm going to go back to another question that we got from LinkedIn. And so Mark Mercury, the BIM specialist VDC manager on LinkedIn, asked, how far away is BIM 360's ability to scan every sheet for quality flags? And so both BIM 360 and our products on the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform are powered by our machine learning technology known as Construction IQ. So one of the powerful things that Construction IQ does is it leverages machine learning to help predict and prevent quality-related issues by identifying risk factors. So for instance, it could highlight water-related issues or high-risk subcontractors. And so teams can take the action right away. So it may not be able to scan every sheet, but it highlights all of the project information that's on the platform to help you make more proactive decisions that relate to quality and safety. And there's other machine learning product releases that we've recently had that kind of touch on this as well. And so in Autodesk Takeoff, we've recently released symbol detection. And so with symbol detection, Autodesk Takeoff users can easily identify and bulk count symbols to save time. And so if you're looking for a chair on your your 2D takeoff sheets, you can highlight the symbol, say this is a chair, and the symbol detection will automatically scan through all of the sheets and identify each of those chairs and do that count for you. So it really helps to simplify manual tasks. Having been done my own estimating in the past, there's definitely times where I'd forget a whole sheet and miss more quantities than I would like. Mm-hmm. And we've also another really amazing machine learning feature that we recently released is auto tags within Autodesk Build. And so this feature leverages machine learning to automatically tag metadata to photos. So when you upload a photo into Autodesk Build, it automatically tags the photo with some of the things that are in part of it. So it can tag for concrete, if there's formwork there, electrical work, so on and so forth. And so these tags are automatically included in your photos. And then in the photos gallery, you can filter all of the photos based on these tags. So you can quickly use it to scan for quality or safety related issues related to those tags, or even just look at progress throughout the project lifecycle by filtering through those tags. Mm-hmm. So these are some pretty powerful ways that we're using machine learning to help simplify day in and day out tasks and let teams focus on really what matters most, the construction project day in and day out.
And I think that really speaks to as well Luis's question in the chat about some of the manual processes in takeoff and also progress tracking. And can we expect automated processes to kind of handle those manual processes in the future? You're seeing a trend here with a lot of the releases, automating a lot of the manual tasks, and a lot of what Christine just talked about with the machine learning is just kind of what we're getting the feedback. We understand the industry standards. We also understand, what you need to accomplish your jobs faster and get back out in the field or get back to, your models, or in Luis's, in his specific example, he's a BIM manager. I used to work with Luis. So get back to managing your project teams and doing what's important in your day-to-day. So you will see more automation based on machine learning, based on artificial intelligence, things of that nature. So
cool. Thanks. Mark had another question on LinkedIn, Justin, that I'd love to get your thoughts on. He asked, how far away is self-modeling software?
I think this is a really cool question. I would say it's far away, but probably not as far as I think, not as far as we think. So a couple years ago, I was at a conference in Chicago and I saw a company who I can't remember what their name is, or else I'd drop it right now. But they had basically a generative design proprietary software that they developed where they could tell MEP systems, like just give a point. They would point to a sink and point to, I don't know, like a chase going up a wall, and it would just route everything. And I thought, wow, I didn't think that was coming anytime soon. And it was very good. They did a live demonstration on it. It was amazing. So while we know the capabilities of generative design, there's a couple things in regards to machine learning, like you spoke about, Christine, that have to take place before this self-modeling software is actually really a thing that we could use effectively and rely on in the industry. So there's going to have to be some reality capture. There's some very cool companies out there right now, some partners of Autodesk, like Centu, that are doing very cool things with reality capture and trying to use machine learning to identify elements out in the field and track it back with your model. So there's a lot, basically, there's a lot that needs to take place before that comes to fruition, but I don't think it's as far off as we think. If I had to give a guesstimate, I'd say somewhere between 10 years, but just the rate of the progression of technology, and specifically construction technology, it could be half that, depending on some smart people and what they have time to do.
Yeah. Awesome. That's super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions we got in from, it just says LinkedIn user, so I'm not really sure who, I guess they're anonymous. They said ACC schedule is great, and it seems like the only thing missing is editing MPP, so Microsoft project files directly in the platform. That would make it perfect. Is that on the roadmap? Thanks for that suggestion. We'll certainly take that back to the product team. One of the things that we can do right currently now within schedule, and I want to make sure you're aware of the functionality, is you are able to provide suggestions to the schedule. And so we know that a lot of scheduling teams at construction companies may have a few people within headquarters who have that Microsoft project or Primavera license that are doing the schedules and then send it out to the project teams and the field teams. And with our new schedule suggestion capability, you're able to, hey, make recommended changes. Hey, this is delayed. Hey, can you, this actually finished earlier. Can you update the schedule? And so teams can suggest that from the field, and those suggestions will go back to the team and headquarters who have the scheduling software and can update it that way. And so it's a really wonderful way to have the field teams and teams in headquarters talking and communicating and simplifying communications over the schedules. Cool. We have, let's see, I'm trying to go through the other questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in here.
I know,
I can take the one about from Jason. Is there any discussion about adding the ability to delete projects in BIM 360 or ACC? So once again, we can't really openly talk about what's on the roadmap. However, that is a piece of feedback that we hear often from customers. Instead of marking it as inactive or archiving a project, wanting the ability to just outright delete a project. There are reasons why that doesn't exist currently for legal purposes, just having that project information available. But when I was on the customer side, we wanted that ability too, because sometimes, we create a project, it'd be wrong, and now we have multiple archive projects, have to name it something different. So just so you know, that is another piece of feedback that we hear very often. But as of right now, we can't really share if that's on the roadmap.
Yeah. And Jason asked another question about the permission issue when you're adding people to a project and they cannot see the modules unless they're added to the settings for each folder instead of using roles or companies. And so we'll certainly take that feedback back to the R&D team. I'm sure they've gotten it before, but we'll make sure to double down in here on it. And one of the things I do want to share is each month, so we release new product features and enhancements on a bi-monthly cadence. So our last one was May, our next one is going to be in July. And we've been adding more and more capability and functionality for roles and companies. And so what this means is if you're in an RFI, you can add a watcher, and you can add a specific role as a watcher to the RFI, or a specific company to a watcher. And that would give that permission to everyone within that company or in that role. They'd have that permission within the RFI. Recently, we've released similar functionality when we were talking about certain types of forms within Autodesk Build as well, where you can assign that sequential or parallel form to a role or a company to make sure that that company fills out the form. You may not really care who in the company fills it out, but you just want to make sure the company fills it out. And so we're constantly building and working and adding more flexibility into the platform for the permissioning on a role and company level. So we certainly are working on it and hear your feedback, Jason. All right. What was the other? Justin, any other questions you want to?
Yeah, there were a couple questions that kind of grouped together. So there's one about moving projects from a BIM 360 or a Construction Cloud project to another project. And essentially that's what Bridge does. However, that is one of those enhancements that is only in the Autodesk Construction Cloud or Autodesk Build. So it would only be for Build that you're able to use the Bridge functionality to move sheets and project files or project data to another Autodesk Build project or another Autodesk Build account. So across accounts. So if you're working with a consultant, a sub, a GC who also has a Build account, you could share information that way. That functionality is not available for BIM 360.
Cool.
And then there was another set of questions around reality capture data and if it's visible or if you can store it essentially in Autodesk Build. And the answer to that question is yes. You are not able to view reality capture data within like the BIM viewer, like you could a Navis model, a Revit model, CAD file, etc. But you can store it and then also use it to link or reference in a Revit file. So that functionality is there. And then, yeah, we don't know if it's on the roadmap or not for design collaboration. So just wanted to tackle a couple of those questions that were kind of grouped.
Thanks, Justin. Another LinkedIn user asked, are there plans to get design collaboration into the PlanGrid app? And so that's a great question. And this past May, we actually released the ability for PlanGrid Build mobile app access for our Autodesk Docs, Autodesk BIM Collaborate, and BIM Collaborate Pro users. And so what this means, and so design collaboration is part of our BIM Collaborate Pro functionality. And so what this means is through the PlanGrid Build app, users will have access to files, markups, issues, and members, and additionally meetings as well. And so we are adding more and more mobile app access, but this was recently released and we encourage you to go check it out.
Mm-hmm. I think along those lines too, Christine, something that you can, a trend that you will see in the future is that there will be significant enhancements to the Autodesk Build platform. There will be quality of life improvements to BIM 360 and PlanGrid, but anything substantial like the addition of design collaboration in PlanGrid or any like really just valuable or awesome new feature will most likely be put into Autodesk Build, because that is the platform of the future. So just kind of keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
I think one more question that I saw, and I know I can't specifically answer it, but I wanted to address it, and I'm looking for it here now in LinkedIn. It's from Peter, and he asks about, do we have examples of linking cost information to detailed line items via data architectures like CSI, master format, uniformat? The answer I know is yes. And that is because the cost management, I'm sure the product manager, Ian, would just love for me to say this out loud, but the cost management platform for that product is probably one of our best products. It's constantly being upgraded and updated, and it can do pretty much anything, connect to pretty much anything, especially via Forge and the open API. So the answer there is yes. I am not a cost expert. We do have those here at Autodesk, so I can't tell you exactly how to do it, but the answer is yes. So I wanted to address that question, Peter. And then we had another question about offering classes and tutorials on how to identify and detect clashes in Revit and in BIM 360. So we have, and what is it? Learn
ACC.
Learn ACC.
Yeah.
So we have a host of videos. And once again, I don't mean to beat you guys down with my experience, but I was an implementer and a trainer. I made my own custom BIM 360 videos for my old company. These Learn ACC videos are great. They are amazing. We do have video content that will walk you through training on the different products, the different tools within the Autodesk Construction Cloud, and even some BIM 360 videos as well. And then there's also different ways to do that. So whether you want to effectively identify clashes in something Christine mentioned earlier, BIM Collaborate with the model coordination tool, or if you have your own Navis to using the clash add-in in Navis and escalating priority clashes workflow. It depends on what your use case is, whether or not you do that, execute clash detection in Navis or in BIM 360 or in Autodesk Build.
Yeah, the Learn ACC classes are awesome. And similar to our product, we have a team working and dedicated to building out those Learn ACC classes. And they're always adding new courses, adding new curriculum, updating it as the product updates. So constantly check in and check there because they have good stuff coming all of the time. There was another question that I lost and I'm trying to find. So some tools like Takeoff, even when they use models and sheets from the cloud, have some manual workflows. Can we expect more automated process in the upcoming future and the newly added features in ACC? And so I touched on some of the ways that we're automating processes, especially with Takeoff, like the automatic symbol detection, and keep tuning in and checking out our bi-monthly launches, because we are constantly releasing new features and functionality. And the product team is always looking on ways to automate processes and make everyone's life a bit easier. And so I will make sure we put in the chat our blog. I believe it's constructionblog.autodesk.com. So our digital builder blog. That is where we publish all of the news of our bi-monthly launches. So when we launch in July, you'll see a roundup of all of the features that have been released, and even dedicated blogs, deep dive features, often videos as well of the new features. And so check in there to see kind of what has been recently released and do deeper dives as well.
Mm-hmm. There's a question from Hissam about, is there any way to remove sets from design collaboration module using the browser or ACC essentially? Currently, No, but that is a good feature request, Hassam. My suggestion for you and anybody else who had like a feature request like that in the chat. So we have, in addition to the Digital Builder blog, we have the Big Room where you can start up conversations with your peers, and also we have Autodesk personnel in there perusing around. We also have a number of forums too that I do know that sometimes our product team will comb through to look for user feedback. So something that we often ask for feature requests like that is a business case. How is that impacting your business? Is there a monetary value assigned to that? So those are kind of things to keep in mind there. But if you want to start up a conversation on the Big Room or any number of those forums, any one of the forums, my suggestion is that you put in that feature request, have it voted up, because the product team will look at that if it gets enough votes.
Yeah, it's awesome. Working closely with the product team, I do know that they check those regularly. And the feature requests, like the votes, are certainly something that helps to, when they're thinking of the roadmap and creating the roadmap, they will say, oh, we had this many upvotes as a feature request. So it's something that's really wonderful to see. One of the questions that we got from Daniel is, will Sheets licensing for Build change in the future? And so one of the wonderful things about Autodesk Build is the flexibility when it comes to pricing. So we have Sheets-based pricing, we have per seat pricing, and then we also have account-based pricing. And so I'd recommend that you reach out to your dedicated account executive who can help walk you through all of the different pricing options and understand, kind of figure out your situation, how you're using it, how many sheets you may need, how many users you may need, and then you can really customize and create a solution that works best for you. And so you're spending only what you need to spend. And I believe we were going to put in, and if you don't know who your dedicated account executive is, there is a help hotline that you can call that we will be putting in the chat as well. So you can call and figure out who is the best person to talk to it's pretty much based on where you're located. All right. I think Alexandru asks, is there an overview available regarding document management differences, updates between BIM 360 and ACC? And so, as we mentioned, there's a lot of different resources out there that highlight the functionality that we have within our unified platform. And so when it comes to document management, Autodesk Construction Cloud and BIM 360 are pretty similar between the two functionalities. And as Justin mentioned before, a lot of our products teams' time and energy is being spent updating the functionality within Autodesk Construction Cloud. And so to stay updated on all of the updates to there, obviously, as we mentioned the Digital Builder blog, our website has tons of great information. So construction.autodesk.com. Mm-hmm. And then the other things that we will put in the chat as well is, if you follow us on social, we also release updates information as well. So as new product features are released, that they often get covered on our social channels as well. And so kind of stay in touch and you'll be able to learn through all of the functionality from there.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to that as well, from a change management perspective, the document management portion of Build is built on top of BIM 360. So if you're looking to migrate to Build from BIM 360 and you're putting them up side by side, all that is a UI difference and an interface difference, but all of your same workflows and everything that you may be used to within BIM 360 is essentially one for one the same. There just may be enhancements in Build that you don't have in BIM 360, but you can essentially execute all of your document management workflows that you are executing in BIM 360 in Build with no issues.
Yeah. Great. And I think
last question, and I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to touch on this one, is from Jason. Why do I see build related things in ACC if I don't have access to build? So that is intentional, Jason. So I guess for your specific example, we would have to know more. You could have a trial to build. You could be invited to a client or a subcontractor's build account so you're able to see that project, but it's intentional that you're able to see all of that information in one place. So that is essentially what you are visualizing is the goal or the vision of the Autodesk Construction Cloud, where you can access BIM 360 and build projects from one screen. If you look in the top right of that screen, you'll be able to see Plan Grid and Building Connected and Trade Tap. And as we acquire more companies, you'll probably start to see them in that top right corner as well. So that's that connected platform, connected construction vision that you're seeing in front of you there. So
Cool. I love kind of ending on the vision.
mm-hmm.
And so we just want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I know the time, I can only speak for myself, but the time went by super fast, and I can't believe it's already 1 p.m. Eastern. But we wanted to let you guys know that we will be hosting LinkedIn Lives like this every month. Encourage you to join back or share these out with other colleagues who may be interested. If you have interest, if you have an idea for future lives that we have, leave them in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and kind of incorporate them in as we build out the future programming. So stay in touch, follow us on social, check out our blog for updates. And if you want to, again, the Big Room is an awesome, really awesome resource where you can go and connect with other peers and talk to them and just have a place to bounce ideas off of people who are going through what you're going through day in and day out. So keep in touch, and we'll tune in next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.